DNF Duel, a game that I've had my eyes on since the launch of Guilty Gear Strive, mainly because they're developed by the same studio, Arc System Works. Known for their Guilty Gear franchise and Dragon Ball fighters, they've always been contenders to the other fighting game studios, fighting back with style, 2D 3D rendering, and smooth gameplay. DNF Duel is a new fighting IP based off of the old side-scrolling action RPG Dungeon Fighter Online. This game was a classic and still pretty solid. Arc System took the setting and premise and took all the classes from the game and turned them into complete fighting game characters. Pretty great idea, the characters are already there, it just takes translating them to fighting format. All the characters are very well designed, retaining a lot of their original styles from Dungeon Fighter, but with new elements or additions, probably to ease with animation. Each character's movesets, voice lines, and ultimates are all stylish and widely varied, while still being a reference for any older gamers like myself. Each character is a huge toolkit of skills and attacks, making any character viable once you're good enough. P.S. There's definitely a meta, but if you're good enough, you can learn to counter that with any character. Speaking of which, let's talk about controls. You have your usual light attack, medium attack, and the aerial and down variants. Here's the interesting part though, your heavy attack is basically a complete special. They're very strong attacks and feel way more powerful than just a regular heavy in other fighting games. DNF Duel also does this interesting thing where instead of making it an input like quarter circle forward or half circle back, they do all heavy attacks or just one single button with directional inputs, kind of like Smash Bros. Forward, back, down, and aerial heavy all do huge attacks. Then expanding upon that, there's your magic attacks. Once again, very strong, and you do only need to press one button again with a single directional input. However, you'll notice these attacks drain your MP gauge at the top. So these should be used situationally or as part of a combo string. You'll also notice when you get hit, some of your health goes white. It will actually regenerate over time or can be used as a resource, but if you hit the enemy with a magic attack, it cuts it out completely. You want to win the duel fast, magic attacks are a must. However, the trade-off here for the ease of control access is that you have to be able to pull the timing exactly. When you cancel out of a move or just hitting the next button, it needs to be spot on or you completely whiff the whole combo or the follow-up hit. Some additional interesting mechanics they introduced was when you press a few buttons together when you have white health, you can actually use it as a resource. Basically how it works is you give up that white health, but it lets you true cancel out of any attack regardless of what animation it's in. So you can make some pretty sick combos together. Unlike most of Arc System's games, however, you cannot block in the air. I personally love this mechanic, jumping much more risky, but you can also pull off some crazy combos, so you have to really commit to what you're doing. Going forward, it's got your traditional story mode. There's a loose story based off of all the heroes coming together, fighting each other, seeing who's the strongest to save the world. Pretty basic vanilla stuff. There's an unlockable character if you beat the main story. It's nothing to write home about, neither was the original game, it was more the gameplay itself. There is an arcade mode and survival mode. These are both pretty fun, and the practice mode is very in-depth. There's even a tutorial, and then each tutorial is catered to each character, including combo tutorials and some basic mechanics for each character. Finally, there is a dedicated ranked mode, which in the background you'll see we have mixed successes here. It's a good version. It moves away from the tower system that Guilty Gear Strive had, which I'm personally happy for. Not to mention the simple addition of being able to play arcade or practice while waiting for the ranked match is such a nice quality of life function. DNF Duel is definitely a contender in the fighting game community and has the ability to do well. While I have many good things to say about it, my one actual qualm with the game is that while the style and the controls are fluid and great, it doesn't really add anything new or fresh to the fighting game genre. Yes, the style is great, it looks cool, and the animations are slick as hell. It's not something we haven't seen before. So that's one thing I'll say that I wish they added something different to the game. Other than that, I think it's a great pickup. It's not super expensive. It's still new. You can still get into it without being too far behind anyone. And honestly, it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me. I think that's pretty high. I think it's up there for me. Alright guys, this is Haaris from State Champs Esports signing off. I'll see you guys in the next one.